You know, he gets insulted and he loses his credibility and his position, and like that. We see that with the leaders of society when they're exposed, and also the religious, so-called religious leaders, they're exposed. So these so-called people, they're not at all qualified for their positions of management and leadership, and they're subject to these because they don't know the difference between spirit and matter, and they're supposedly leading and guiding society in their different positions. So it's a very difficult situation for everyone else to have these kinds of leaders. And sometimes they spend a lot of money to try to get this other enjoyment, and the prize is stolen away by someone else. So it's continual frustration. Prabhupada's commentary. In a great forest, honeycombs are very important. People often go there to collect honey from the honeycombs. Sometimes the bees attack in punishment. In human society, those who are not Krishna conscious remain in the forest of material life simply for the honey of sex life. Such devotees are not at all satisfied with one wife. They want many women. Day after day, with great difficulty, they try to secure such women, and sometimes, while trying to taste this kind of honey, one is attacked by a woman's kinsmen, chastised very heavily. By bribing others, one may secure another woman for enjoyment, yet another devotee may kidnap her or offer her something better. This woman hunting is going on in the forest of the material world, sometimes legally, sometimes illegally. Consequently, in this Krishna consciousness movement, the devotees are forbidden to have illicit sex. Thus, they avoid so many difficulties. One should remain satisfied with one woman, being duly married. One can satisfy one's lusty desires with his wife, without creating disturbances in society and being punished for doing so. Oh, boy. So merciful. Prabhupada is so merciful. Text 11. Sometimes the living entity is busy counteracting the natural disturbances of freezing cold, scorching heat, strong wind, excessive rainfall, and so forth. When he is unable to do so, he becomes very unhappy. Sometimes he is cheated in business transactions one after another. In this way, by cheating, living entities create enmity among themselves. Oh boy, all the difficulties here. My goodness. Prabhupada's commentary. There is an example of this is an example of the struggle for existence, the attempt to counteract the onslaught of material nature. This creates enmity in society, and consequently society is filled with envious people. One person is envious of another, and this is the way of the material world. The Krishna consciousness movement aims at creating an atmosphere of non-envy. Of course, it is not possible for everyone to become Krishna conscious, but the Krishna consciousness movement can create an exemplary society where there is no envy. Sometimes a living entity is busy counteracting the natural disturbances. There's a struggle for existence in counteracting the onslaught of material nature. Prabhupada says this creates enmity in society. Yeah, it's if someone is able to try to counteract these disturbances, then others may become envious of him. Sure. One country envious of another's success. If someone's a little successful, quote-unquote successful, in the material world, then others become envious. They want what he has. They're attracted to what he's able to do, and they want what he has. But they don't want him to have it. They want it. Because material nature is like that. It's like if there's a nice pie on the table, and someone is eating it, that means someone else isn't going to be able to eat it. That's material. Material energy is like that. So if there are natural resources and someone has advantage of them, that means someone else won't have advantage of them. So then enmity is created to try and take it away from the other. That's the nature of the material situation. So then there's fighting to try and they fight over the resources. And if they're not able to counteract the distresses of the material situation, then they all become unhappy. No one's able to do it, and everyone suffers. There's some huge storm, or there's a drought or something, and then everyone suffers. He says sometimes he's cheated in business transactions. This also creates enmity. They have some agreement to work together, using the resources together, so that they can all improve their material situation together, and someone cheats, and someone gets left out. So then they fight, and there's enmity. So this is all material consciousness, and it creates this fighting. So Prabhupada refers to his desire that this movement be able to create an exemplary society where there's no envy. This is not necessarily that the whole world, right away, would become Krishna conscious, but that at least create an example of a society where there's no envy. And he's explaining where this envy comes from. Comes from fighting over material resources, material facilities. And that could extend to not only the gross material resources, but also more subtle things like the looking for power and position. The of course, it's all connected: profit, adoration, distinction. A society free from those things. And that's the goal. 12, text 12. On the forest path of material existence, sometimes a person is without wealth, and due to this does not have a proper home, bed, or sitting place, nor proper family enjoyment. He therefore goes to beg money from others, but when his desires are not filled by begging, he wants to borrow or steal property of others. Thus he is insulted in society. Yeah, well, people must have these things. You must have some place to live, place to take rest, and some sort of social facility, family enjoyment. And when someone doesn't have those things, they'll beg. What can they do? But if the begging doesn't work, then he's actually put in a position to either borrow, become indebted, and that's a kind of begging, or to simply steal, learn how to steal. And thus, he's insulted in society. He's either put in jail, or beggars are always treated pretty poorly, pretty badly. Prabhupada's commentary: the principles of beg, borrow, or steal are very appropriate in this material world. When one is in want, he begs, borrows, or steals. If begging is unsuccessful, he borrows. If he cannot pay, he steals. And when he's caught, he's insulted. This is the law of material existence. No one can live here very honestly. Therefore, by trickery, cheating, begging, borrowing, or stealing, one tries to satisfy his senses. Thus, no one in the material world is living peacefully. So what's missing in this scenario? Service. Even on a material platform, we don't see any sign of service in this situation. It's just, I'm in need, I want, and I'm going to get. So with Varnashram system, there's just the natural structures of society. The Brahminical class, the administrative class, the merchant and agricultural class, and the laborer class. So we won't even see any sign of that here. So in the material world, not even aware, so degraded, not even aware of the natural structures which can provide, at least provide, smooth running of society for material comfort, material well-being. They're not even aware of those structures and how to facilitate it. What to speak of the Daivi Varnashram, where everything is guided toward devotional service, not just service for sense gratification, but devotional service. So, what's missing is service, the service attitude. He is in want. He begs, he borrows, he steals. Where's the service? I render some service, then everything will come. Wash some dishes. Shine some shoes. Do some service. It's not so. But not inclined. Not inclined to do any service. So they end up stealing. In the material world, no one wants to be a servant. That's the thing. Material world, servant is not glorified. Whereas in relationship to Krishna, servant is the highest. So it's a perverted reflection, because the conditioned soul, identifying with the material body and mind, wants to be the controller, the enjoyer, doesn't want to render any service. But everyone is a servant, so if you don't want to serve, then you end up in a destitute situation.